So I haven't really made one of these in a long time, in the car kind of videos talking about music, right? And the topic for today is Ivan Moody of the band Fivefingerdeathpunch has released a statement when he was live in Colorado saying that he is no longer going to be a part of the group after the next album is released. And a lot of fans were like disappointed. I'm disappointed. I'm a fan of the band. I would say they're one of my, I would say in the last like 10, 12 years, one of my favorite artists. I've seen them twice at Welcome to Rockville, put on a phenomenal show, one of the most intense, craziest shows I've ever seen in my life. Like heavy, aggressive, the mosh pits were bananas, the crowds were going crazy. It's a show that I enjoyed from top to bottom, start to finish, right? I like some of their albums. Some of their later work was not for me. It is what it is. The first three albums I think are the best albums to date, and then anything after that is a hit or miss, right? And some of their songs are very sounding similar to another song, right? They're not like overly heavy, but they're not heavy at all. They're a lot of people are like they're too commercialized. I don't give a damn if they're commercialized, if they're heavy, they're not heavy. They have good music on their first three albums, and then they have a couple bangers on the next couple albums, right? And I'll put it to you this way: at the end of the day, when you're listening to this band, is the band gonna die off like other bands have died off? When Tommy Vex, for example, left the band Bad Wolves. Have you guys heard anything from them, like commercially, out on the radio, anything? I know I haven't. I haven't heard anything from that band anymore, because Tommy Vex was like the guy that people knew in that group. They knew when you listened to that band, it was Tommy Vex. When you listen to the band Fivefingerdeathpunch, you know Zoltan as a guitar player, and you know Ivan Moody. Ivan Moody has said, "I'm doing it because my kid asked me to retire." And I don't know if he's retiring because of that specific main reason, but it seems like, how are you still going to bring revenue into the household? How are you going to still get your creative juices out? Because we know he's a creative guy when it comes to being a musician, being a vocalist, unless he's going to eventually come back out as like a solo artist or something. And I don't know if him as a solo artist would even do much, right? Because a lot of times people retire and go, I'm no longer going to do this. Is it like they're retiring from that band and trying something different? Because a lot of bands do that. A lot of them go do solo stuff or do different music that they weren't able to do in that band. He said he wants to take a step back from the rock and metal community. Why is that? I don't know. I don't specifically know why he wants to get away from the rock and metal community. I don't know that, but I will say that at the end of the day, do I think he has a reason behind it? Yeah. Do I think it's just family related? Absolutely not. I don't think it's just family related, but I will say at the end of the day, it's good why he's in the band. The band is Ivan Moody. He's one of the best rock singers that we have. He's a hell of a performer, but I will always say that the band will probably die with him leaving the group. And for a lot of people who say, well, they could always find a new singer because AC/DC, Static X, and all these other bands have found new singers. Yes, they have, but I don't think they're going to find an Ivan Moody type of guy who's going to be doing what Ivan Moody has done in the past. Ivan Moody, for my own personal belief, is that band. He's the driving force behind that band. He's been in the band since like 2004. That band has been kicking ass since the MySpace days. I remember Metal, what was her name? Metal Sanaz, I think her name was. If I can find a picture, I'll post it right here, baby. She was the first one to talk about it on her metal show. And she was doing metal shows like on MySpace. She was like, hey, I'm going to be interviewing this band. And it was like a podcast before a podcast interviewing artists and uploading it to MySpace. And she was like, this Los Angeles band is going to be kicking ass, going to be growing, going to be good. And they first brought out their single, and I was like, oh, that's dope. And they kind of had that vibe of like, oh, this is kind of going to be like a big band like Disturbed. And to this day, they pretty much are like this. They are like the modern day, like Disturbed, keep pumping out music that's very similar to one another. Disturbed's that kind of band that constantly keeps creating, but the music always sounds the same. So you know it's Disturbed all the time. So you know it's Five Finger every time you hear a Five Finger song. You go, that's Five Finger Death Punch, baby. So for me, I think it's a great thing. I think it's a great look. I think the next album's going to be probably a banger. But at the end of the day, is it going to be bitter or sweet? I think so. I think the band's going to probably just break up and that's it. Or maybe he might say, I'm not retiring after all. Because we know a lot of MMA fighters say that all the time. They're going to retire, we're going to retire, we're going to retire. And then for some odd reason, they don't. But at the end of the day, that's my opinion. I think the band, if he does walk away from the group, it's going to be a no more party. That band's going to just fade off into the sunset. They lasted their 10-15 years, but does the band itself want to still create? If that's the case, the band still wants to create. They might go out and seek out another vocalist, but still have those founding members and just a new vocalist under a different name. But do I still think it's going to be a Five Finger kind of sound? Yeah, probably, typically, because if you're an artist, you're always going to play that kind of music that you are doing. Like when Disturbed's David Drain went and did Device, kind of very similar to what Disturbed was doing. When Danny went to his group, when they kind of had that separation for a while, it was kind of very similar to a Disturbed sound. But at the end of the day, who is sad for this? I think a lot of rock and metal fans are disappointed that he's walking away. But again, you got to do what you got to do and start the new chapter in your life. But as always, it's your boy Trevor.